I'm going to keep this tight and honest because the longer I sit with this, the worse it feels. I'm 23 years old. I graduated last year. Nothing about my life is dramatic, and that's important. I'm not prone to paranoia. I don't drink much. I don't do drugs. I don't believe in supernatural stuff. I've always been the kind of person who looks for the most boring explanation first, which is why it scares me how long this has been happening. My family moved into our house when I was 5. It's a 3-story place in a clean, quiet suburb outside Hollowbrook, Oregon. Tree-lined streets, trimmed lawns, the kind of neighborhood where nothing ever really happens and people complain if a car they don't recognize parks overnight. There are only 2 windows in the house that face the street. One is in my bedroom on the 2nd floor. The other is in my dad's home office on the 3rd. That detail matters more than I wish it did. The first thing happened so long ago I barely remember it. I was in middle school. It was a weekend morning, and I was heading downstairs when I heard my parents whispering in the kitchen. Not arguing, just tense. My dad kept saying, "It happened again," like it wasn't the first time. They brushed me off when I asked. I didn't find out the full story until my older sister told me later. My dad's an accountant. He works late during tax season, sometimes past midnight. One night, while he was in his office, he noticed a dark SUV crawling down the street. Not slow like someone looking for an address, slow like it was barely moving. He watched it pass the house. Then, minutes later, it came back. Same vehicle, same speed. Then it parked directly across from our driveway. My dad watched for a long time. No one got out, no doors opened, no interior lights. It just sat there. Eventually, he went back to work. When he looked again, hours later, it was still there. When he fell asleep at his desk and woke up just before dawn, the SUV was gone. That wasn't the first time something like that had happened, just the longest. At the time, everyone decided it was nothing. Someone resting, someone lost, someone casing houses. Years passed. Then it happened to me. I was 16, up late in my room, headphones on, messing around on my laptop. My desk sat right under my window, which overlooked the street. I caught a flicker of light in my peripheral vision. At first, I thought it was a reflection. Then it happened again. I looked up and saw 3 vehicles moving slowly down the road, way too slowly. And that's when I noticed the beams, flashlights. They weren't shining randomly. They were scanning houses, one by one. When the beam swept toward my window, I dropped below the sill without thinking. A second later, light washed across my ceiling. I stayed frozen. By the time I looked again, the cars were already turning off the street. The explanation was easy. People casing houses. My dad installed cameras, motion lights, Ring doorbells. We talked to neighbors. Nothing else happened for a while, until a landscaper found a camera hidden in our backyard bushes. Tiny, battery-powered, no storage inside, which meant it was never meant to be retrieved. That's when my parents finally admitted they were worried. Still, life went on. Then our neighbors moved out. The house next door was occupied almost immediately by a young couple. No kids. They kept odd hours. I noticed them standing at their top floor window late at night, facing our yard. Always standing, never sitting. One night, I saw a third man with them, bald, broad, thick eyebrows, hard to forget. When he noticed me looking, the curtains closed. Years later, I saw him again, in another country. That's when I knew this wasn't coincidence. And that's when things stopped being subtle. Seeing him again broke something in me. We were in Lisbon on vacation. A crowded bar, music, noise. I looked across the room and saw him sitting alone, drinking, scanning faces. I knew instantly. When our eyes met, there was no confusion on his face, just recognition. He stood up and left without finishing his drink. I followed. He was gone. 2 days later, I saw him again, this time during the day, camera in hand, standing across the street while my family walked past a landmark. He didn't run when I noticed him. He just turned and walked away. My parents believed me. That was the worst part. We came home early. Nothing happened right away. Then I went hiking. I've hiked those trails my entire life. Night hikes, fog, silence. It's never bothered me. But that night, the forest felt arranged. First came the smells, perfume, smoke, something herbal and familiar. Then the light, a flashlight sweeping a ridge that has no trail access. Then the whistling. When I reached the overlook, there was a small stone structure on the rock. Not random, intentional. I turned around. Footsteps charged toward me through the fog, and then stopped, right in front of me. I never saw anyone. I ran anyway. I didn't stop running until I reached my car. That was when I realized something terrifying. Whoever was following me didn't chase me down. They let me leave. Later that year, my parents finally told me the truth. This wasn't just happening to us. It was happening to families like ours. Quiet, predictable, long-term residents. The cameras, the cars, the watching. They weren't threats. They were records, patterns, documentation. No break-ins, no violence, just observation. As if someone was waiting for something to change or end. Last month, my dad found an envelope taped under his office desk. No return address. Inside was a photo, taken from across the street. Our house. Lights on. And written on the back in neat handwriting. Still consistent. I don't know what they're measuring. I don't know why. But I know one thing for sure now. They don't follow people. They follow places. And once a place is chosen, it never stops being watched.